Hello everyone, this is CGNovo992 and today we're back from LeBron's new video. Today's video we are here to break down and discuss the Rangers players that spent the season out on loan. Now usually we do this in June, but one, the season's done, let's be brutally honest about that, and two, I'm absolutely desperate for the content. That's too real, that. It's too real. But as always, before we go any further on with today's video, a quick little shout out to the channel sponsors and the channel legends themselves, and they truly are channel legends because just like you guys, you're sticking with the channel even though there isn't any football. So if you do want a free footballing app, as always, that link is right down there in the description below. But to business then, shall we? And as there is so many Rangers players that was out on loan this season, we have a lot to get through. So instead of stopping at the end of every single one and asking you guys what your thoughts and opinions are, I'm just going to read through every single one of these Rangers players, how they're getting on, and I'd absolutely love for you to post your thoughts and opinions as we make our way through the old list. But enough talking around the list, let's actually just dive in and get to it then, shall we? And we're going to start off with the goalkeeping position, and we're going to start off with the Viking himself, Mr. Alnwick. And if you've watched any of these loan review series over the last couple of years, I've actually been doing it. I'm going to be saying the exact same thing as I always seem to say about this laddie. He's just consistently good, and that's not even a surprise to get caught up with anywhere. Every single time, I know what I'm going to say before I even research it and see what the fans' opinions are about the laddie, because he is just consistent. It's just unfortunate for him, he came to Rangers at the completely wrong time, or he would be a very good number one in my opinion. But Fods was ahead of him, and then Alan McGregor came and that pushed him right down the pecking order, and that is why he spent the last two seasons out on loan. First one to Scunthorpe, now he's over in Blackpool. Now the Blackpool loan was going as great as you expect for Alnwick, won the fans over, won the number one job outright, and after 22 games of this season it all came kind of halting down unfortunately because he broke his arm and he was expected to miss the next 12 weeks of the season. But the injury happened in January, and you know where I'm going to go with this next. He's not been able to come back and play because the games have been suspended. However, it is worth noting that he did not come back up the roads when he did get injured. No. He stayed down south because it is fully expected that he will be signing for Blackpool in May when his contract expires from Rangers. So despite that long-term injury, it looks like Jak Alnwick has finally earned his permanent move away from Rangers. It's just unfortunate it's on a cheeky little free transfer and we're getting nothing back. But his season was pretty solid until the injury. He played 22 games, he only conceded 24 goals, and he kept 7 clean sheets in a league that's known for their goals. Next up, we're going to be sticking with the goalkeeping position, and we're going to be speaking about the future Rangers number one. And I think that was backed up by the fact that Rangers made the massive decision to pull him away from his first loan at Queen of the South early and loan him to another team in the top flight of Scottish football to get some minutes under his belt and test to see if he's almost ready to be called upon. And to be fair, throughout his 2 loan spells, this one was very, very well done. At Queen of the South, he was getting rave reviews, and so far from Livingston, despite a blunder in one of the games where he kind of dropped it in his own net, he's been consistently good for Livingston as well, and he saved a Scott Allen penalty, which for me is always a win. But during his 2 loan spells this season, he racked up 32 appearances, conceding 42 goals and keeping also 7 clean sheets, which he shares with Mr. Jak Alnwick. But if you look in deeper and just look at what he was managed to do in the top flight of Scottish football, he played 8 games, conceding 9 goals and keeping 2 clean sheets, and again saving that penalty kick, which for me is very, very promising. Still very raw. Is he ready to take the mantle from Alan McGregor? No. But is he on his way? Absolutely. And you know what? Since we've said the words clean sheets about 7 times so far already in today's video, let's transition from there then, shall we, and speak about the next player, because despite being a midfield player, he actually has a cheeky little clean sheet under his belt for Rangers Football Club, and it's none other than Ross McCrorie. And I'm just going to be honest with you, I think Ross is the type of player we were missing during that sticky spell where it was all going wrong. We needed just a hard tackling, no nonsense SOB to go ahead and knock one of those players on their arse, break him in half, and just get the crowd up. You know what I mean? A sort of flashback player. Kevin Thompson used to do it a couple of years ago for Rangers, and even further back you had Souness and you had boys like that. Just gone in there when the game isn't going well, they just roll their socks up, go nail, and get everyone going. I think we were badly missing a Ross McCrorie type in the midfield. However, despite saying all that, it's got to be said what he done down south this season has to be considered a mix. And if you'd have told me that all those months ago when I made that video announcing that he was going to Portsmouth on loan, I would never ever have believed you. But looking into Ross McCrorie's loan this season, he's literally played every position but goalkeeper. And I think that mix matching of his role and position in every single game, along with the fact that unfortunately he's picked up the injury bug this season, is one of the major reasons why McCrorie's spell hasn't took off the way we all expected to. For a quick little summary of how much he's been mix and matching, if you just look in his last 2 games alone, one of them was 67 minutes playing in defensive mid, the other one was 73 minutes playing at right back. And that right there has been happening all season long. It's midfield, it's right back, it's left back, it's centre half, it's back to midfield, it's left back, it's right back, all season long. No wonder the laddie can't find any consistency. But even in saying everything, if you take a step back and look at it, he's played 25 games in all competitions. He has a career high of 5 assists to his name as well, picking up 4 yellow cards and with the cheeky little red card, which by the way isn't that far off our current midfield player's stats this season. But when you take everything under consideration, the fact that he's not been able to hold down a consistent position, the fact that he's not been loaned out correctly and used correctly, we should say, I think we're going to be looking at this loan a lot like a couple of other loans in today's video, and that has been slightly disappointing. Now, as we are currently down south talking about centre defensive midfielders, or should be centre defensive midfielders, let's transition over to the forgotten man himself then, shall we, and talk about Jordan Rossiter. And this one is going to be a lot shorter than the other loans we've actually broke down and discussed this season, because the latest news revolving Jordan Rossiter is that his time at Rangers has came to an end and he will be leaving the football club on a free transfer come June. However, regarding his overall season out on loan from Rangers, just very briefly, played 19 games and grabbed a cheeky wee assist as well, which is nice to see. But what isn't nice to see is, once again, our Jordan Rossiter season was derailed because of an injury, and that is honestly it's just crap to say, because you can have people who goes out on loan and maybe they down tools, or even at your football club maybe they're just not good enough, but this laddie has got the quality, he has got the ability, and he has got the right mental attitude as well. But it's just unfortunate his body just continually picks up knocks. We thought we got over it last season when we loaned him out to Bury, won Player of the Year, played every single minute available without picking up a knock. But into this season, after 19 games, unfortunately, yet another injury has happened, and he's actually missed the last 19 games for Fleetwood, which is a massive shame to him. Now, there's no news on whether or not he will be joining back up with Fleetwood, because he was performing so well before the injuries. In fact, it is very quiet. The only news that we do know is that his time at Rangers is definitely over. Now, Jason Holt is the next player we are going to be having a wee look at, and yes, Jason Holt is still a Rangers player. He didn't leave on a free transfer yet. He is on loan to St Johnstone, and his contract also expires at the end of this season. Unlike Jordan Rossiter, however, the latest news regarding this lad is his next team is lined up, and it's the team that he's currently at, St Johnstone. And honestly, that doesn't surprise me, especially considering the way St Johnstone started this season off with no wins in their first 9 games. They looked dead and buried at that point, but they rebounded, and a lot of that was down to Jason Holt's energy in midfield. He got healthy, he got fully fit, he was put in the starting 11, and since he's came back, St Johnstone have steadied the ship and have started to truck up the table. He's put in 17 appearances so far for St Johnstone. There's no goals or no assists, but again, his hard work, his energy and his willingness to do the dirty side of the game hasn't went unnoticed to Tommy Wright. He's won praise, he's won plaudits, and again, it looks as if he's won his next move. Now, we are finally leaving the Middleton Park for a brief moment to speak about the next player, and we're going to be moving over to the wing position, and it's going to be none other than Mr. Glenn Middleton. And just like the first player we spoke about in today's video, or the second player we spoke about, Robin McCrorie, Glenn Middleton has also had 2 loans this season. Now, we've made a whole video on Glenn Middleton's loan at Hibs, what went wrong, what was next, all that stuff. So if you haven't seen that, I recommend go ahead and watch that. I'm not going to bore you guys and repeat the exact same stuff, so instead we'll just focus on his latest loan then, shall we, to Bradford. And as you can imagine, he joined late January, played 3 games, and the season's been suspended. So yeah, as you can imagine, not a lot to speak about, but just looking at Glenn Middleton's overall season, he's only played 11 games. He still has 2 assists, by the way, but he's only played 647 minutes. This was the season that he was supposed to go out on loan, a lot like Robin McCrorie, get some minutes under his belt, pick himself up and come back to Rangers next season a more complete player. But it's went the exact opposite, a failed move at Hibs, and then obviously you can't really blame him or the club on what's happened at the second half of this season, but he's not been able to reinvent himself yet, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to Glenn Middleton. I think another loan is definitely on the cards. I think Gerrard won't give up on the young talented youngster anytime soon, but again, there's nothing that's been confirmed about Glenn Middleton, but I'll be very interested to know what your thoughts and opinions are about the talented youngster. Now, if you're still with me at this point in today's video. Thank you so much, you're an absolute legend. But I've left the last two players to the last because these two players are the two most talked about Rangers loanees of the season, and these are the two that I can't wait to talk about and see what your reactions are. First up, we have Greg Docherty, and it's just got to be said, this laddie right here has took every single second he's ever had out on loan. Whether it was last season where he won Player of the Year at Shrewsbury or the couple of games he played for Hibs, this laddie is hungry and he's willing to put in the work. He uses every minute on the park to try and play for his future, and it is almost like we took him off a leash and just released him at a park because he has been absolutely outstanding for Hibs. One of the most informed players in Scottish football since we've loaned him out. But didn't he just take my word for it? Nah. In 8 games for Hibs, he has 3 goals and he has 5 assists to his name. No, I'm no kidding. And I honestly didn't feel like I need to say anything else regarding Greg Docherty's loan or season review. In the short period he was able to play football, by God, did he go ahead and play it. For me, I've seen enough watching this laddie play now. I want to see him in that Rangers shirt. I want to see the energy. I want to see the drive that he brings to football teams. But that isn't the only one who's had an outstanding second half of the season. And this one brings me a lot of joy because we spoke about how sad it is for Jordan Rossiter with his injuries. Well, this laddie right here is another one who has caught the injury bug and he's not had a lot of time. He's not been able to fulfil his dream of playing consistently for Rangers, and that must hurt more than anything I could ever imagine. But thankfully he's back playing football now. He's put his injury blues behind him and he's back doing what he does best, and that is scoring goals. And we're of course here to talk about Jamie Murphy. Now, Jamie Murphy joined Bolton, and in the 12 games he had played, honestly, he was up for Man of the Match award every single time. Go and look at their Twitter account. Every single game he was up there, and if I'm honest with you, he won the majority of them. Absolutely frightening from Jamie Murphy, managing 7 goals and 2 assists in 12 games for Bolton. Yes, it's League One, but by God, that's still impressive, especially considering the fact that all 12 of them weren't starts. The first couple of them was substitute appearances. He pretty much averaged a goal every single time he played, and it honestly got to the stage I was starting to get annoyed and sick to death of getting tagged in his goals every single week, cutting inside, burying them top bin. You can say it's League One, you can say that, but the goals didn't move, and the ball is absolutely buried in that postage stamp. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's us all done and dusted. That is the Rangers season loan overview, recap, reaction, whatever you want to call it. It is now been complete, and now that you've sat through all of this, I want to know your thoughts and opinions. Do you think any of them that's been out on loan this season deserves an opportunity at Rangers? Do you think they've earned it, or do you think it's time to cut loose? And as always, I've been CJ Nova 92. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.